Good morning. It's 9 a.m. and I will call to order the September 7th meeting of the Saline County Board of Commission. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Shadwick,
Here.
Commissioner Sparks,
Here.
Commissioner Vidrickson, Commissioner Weiss,
Here.
Commissioner White.
Will you all please stand for the flag salute and please join me to remain standing. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, if everyone can make sure that microphones, phones, and other electronic devices are muted when you are not speaking so that remote observers can hear the proceedings clearly, I would appreciate it. Now, if Brad, our IT director, could instruct everyone on how to raise their hands in the meeting.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brad.
Assuming that Zoom participants are using the Zoom client, you will notice a participants pad tab at the lower part of your screen. If you select that, toward the lower right-hand part of your screen will be a raise hand function. Select that, and that lets the host know you would like to speak in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we will move into our citizens input portion of the meeting where citizens may speak on county government, usually limited to 3 minutes and pertaining to items that will not be discussed on today's agenda. Are there any members of the commission who wish to speak?
Mormon man of Salina, Kansas.
Morning.
Our government likes to spend money. My concern is jury fees. Are we even paying minimum wage? For jurists or witness fees? The minimum wage that some time ago was $7.50 an hour times 8. That's over $56 a day. That's just 8 hours. So we need to raise our fees for our jurists and our witness. But that would be a tax increase. Maybe we can apply for a grant.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? At this time, we will move to our consent agenda, which consists of prior minutes as presented, approval of tax roll adjustments, approval of accounts payable, approval of disposition of property, and approval of public forum agenda as presented. Are there any commissioners that wish to speak or delete items from the agenda today? Hearing no objections, could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve this consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. At this time, we will move into our action items. Item 1.
Rural Water District number 4, land attachment. Good
morning, Jamie.
Today is scheduled the public hearing for Rural Water District number 4 for their petition and requesting attachment of land to their district. We received a letter and a petition on August 10th, 2021. This is to include 3 properties. Last week, I gave notice to the county commission and also sent letters to the affected landowners as well as the chief engineer, the Division of Water Resources, and the Rural Water District. So today is scheduled the public hearing and then the possible approval of the order.
Okay. And at this time, we'll open the floor for public comments. Is anyone here wishing to speak in regards to this water land acquisition? Okay, we will leave the public hearing and go to action items.
RFA 2231-21, attachment of lands to Rural Water District number 4.
Okay. At this time, is there anyone any of the commissioners that like to speak in regards to this? Any comments from the public?
Mr. Chair, we do have a representative from Water District Number 4. If you'd like to make some comments regarding this action, please come up to the podium.
We have this one person that wants to get on the water district, and they're not in the boundaries. We have two people right next to them that we thought were in the boundaries, and we've got them in the boundaries, but we can find no records of it in the county commission or the attorney. So we're just trying to put them all three into the district so everything's up and up, because we're already serving two of them.
Units, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Yes, thank you. Anyone else like to speak? If hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve by signature the order for the attachment of land to rural water district number 4 as submitted by staff.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 231-21, attachment of lands to rural water district number 4. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Action item 2.
RFA 230-21, nationwide deferred compensation additional investment option with Marilyn Leamer, Human Resources Director.
Good morning, Maryland.
Good morning, Commissioners. From time to time, our 457 deferred compensation providers do provide additional investment options or features to our for our participants that are enrolled in those plans. When we do offer those, it does require an agreement be signed. So that is what this request is for. It is voluntary. Employees would make their own informed decisions whether they want to be a part of this additional feature or not. The alternatives for action is to sign the application, do not sign it or delay for any additional information. Our recommendation is to sign the application, and there is no county budget impact.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? Any members of the public who wish to speak in regards to this? If not, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve by signature the agreement with Nationwide as presented.
Second motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 230-21, nationwide deferred compensation additional investment option. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 3.
RFA 236-21, assistant to firefighters grant with David Turner, Rural Fire District number 5, Chief.
Good morning, Mr. Turner.
Good morning, Commissioners. Approximately February of last year, I submitted a assistance to firefighters grant with the Department of Homeland Security. We were notified about a week and a half ago that we were approved for that grant. The grant is a 95/5 cost share, so the federal government picking up 95% of the grant, with Saline County picking up 5%. So basically, when you break it down, the federal side is about $17,142.86, and RFD side is $857.14. Like I said, the cameras are pretty expensive, so $857 is pretty cheap to get 2 thermal imagers.
What a bargain.
So I'm here today to, of course, get approval to accept the grant and to move forward with bid specifications on 2 thermal imagers for the department.
Any comments or questions from the commission?
Dave, you presently have these cameras.
Yes, I have 2 that I got from a grant about 12 years ago. So, and
They're
it's,
old and obsolete, I'm assuming.
yeah, we can't get any batteries for them anymore. So they're, it's time to do something. We kind of been milking them along here for a little while. So.
Gotcha.
Great. Okay. Any public comments? I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we accept the DHS grant and give permission to move forward with bid specs for the 2 thermal imaging cameras.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 236-21, Assistant to Firefighters Grant. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good day.
You betcha. Move into item number 4.
RFA 233-21, Emergency Operations Plan Adoption with Michelle Barkley, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. I'm here today to ask for the formal adoption of our Saline County Local Emergency Operations Plan, which is up for renewal this year. This plan was submitted to the Kansas Division of Emergency Management for formal review on June 25th, and it was adopted by the state on July 16th, and it was before you in study session last week. This plan basically outlines the response and recovery efforts for the county and includes all of the entities within the county that will participate in either response or recovery actions.
Any questions or comments by the commission? If not, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action. Oh, excuse me. Before we get to that point, is there anyone from the public who'd wish to speak? Now hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chair, I move we adopt the LEOP for Saline County.
Second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 233-21, Emergency Operations Plan Adoption. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5.
Resolution 21-2342, redeclaration of state of local public health emergency with Michelle Barkley, Emergency Management Director.
Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning again. I'm here to ask for an additional 60-day extension to our current public health disaster. As of right now, this declaration is allowing me to provide sheltering to individuals that do not have a place to quarantine or isolate safely. It is also allowing me the opportunity to still request testing supplies from the state of Kansas for the jail and other healthcare providers within Saline County. I would like to note that this disaster declaration is no different than any other disaster declaration that I would bring before you for any other kind of disaster. This just allows us to be applicable for public assistance. It allows us to request resources from the state, and it allows us to be protected against tort liability.
Okay, thank you. Are there any comments or questions by the commission?
Michelle, could you elaborate a little bit more? After we did this approximately 2 months ago, I got several nasty grams. There's a lot of misconception out there. It's a mechanism for burn bans, high fire warnings, blizzards.
Correct. Any kind of disaster that would displace or inhibit the services of the county.
And I'll just weigh in for a second, County Administrator Phillips Metains. I think there is some confusion when it comes to public health disasters, specifically between the role of the emergency manager and the role of the health officer. And so this declaration of emergency has nothing to do with public health orders. That's a completely separate statutory framework. And so I just wanted to clarify that for the record.
And I greatly appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. And any other questions or comments by the commission? Anyone from the public who'd wish to speak? If not, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt resolution 21-2342 as presented by staff.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve resolution number 21-2342, redeclaration of state of local public health emergency. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you.
Michelle. We'll move to item 6.
RFA 234-21 bid award for electrical engineering consultant services with Hannah Stambaugh, Deputy County Administrator.
Good morning, Hannah.
Good morning, Commissioners. I was before you last week to accept bids for Ag Hall. This is kind of another request to help move the project with the Livestock and Expo Center along, and a request for electrical engineering consulting services to come in and do an evaluation of Barn 1 and Ag Hall to look at all of the different mechanical and electrical systems that are in those two buildings to be able to provide us with the specific specifications for any type of electrical upgrades that need to be done, to include fans, exhaust vents, anything like that. We did receive 2 bids. First one was from Wilson and Company for a cost of $16,000, and then also a second bid from Smith and Boucher for a cost of $19,500 plus an additional $1,500 for each site visit. Your alternatives are to accept the low bid with Wilson and Company, or accept the bid with Smith and Boucher, or do not approve the bids and provide us with further direction to obtain these professional services. Our recommendation is to approve the low bid for all the electrical and engineering consulting with Wilson and Company for the cost of $16,000. The cost for this consulting will be paid for out of those CIP funds that have been earmarked for all of the Livestock and Expo Center improvements.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the commission? Is this as a consulting deal, it's like the fans and of this, is this pretty much to actually, will they be doing a complete layout of the location of this equipment and the conduit size, the wire size, and all new mechanical, all that will be done in this project here?
Yeah, so what they will do is basically evaluate the current state of all of the electrical, and then be able to provide us with information as far as what it is that we need to do to upgrade it, to get it to the standards that are of today's nature and not back several years ago. But then also be able to provide us with information as far as loads and everything for bidding out the big fans that we're planning on installing in there, as well as just any other type of electrical things that are needed to be done to be upgraded in those buildings.
Okay, so basically what we're looking at here is just a consulting fee to see what we have and did this, but it actually is not included any engineering services to say, here's the load, here's the wire size and the conduit placement and all of that stuff is not included in this.
They will be able to provide us with some of that information, but it's just more along the lines of information to be able to direct us to the bid specifications to bid out those items in the future.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other comments by the public? Seeing none or hearing none, I will bring it back to the commission for more discussion or possible action.
Mr. Chair, I move we award the bid to Wilson Company for electrical engineering consulting.
Second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve RFA number 234-21, bid awards for electrical engineering consultant services. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Anna. Item 7.
RFA 235-21 Kansas Association of Counties Delegates with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. So it is time again, as it is every fall, to figure out who's going to represent us at the KAC annual meeting. The specific item before you today is to delegate a voting delegate for the business that comes before that body at their annual meeting, which this year will be held on October 19th in Overland Park. So just need a delegate and an alternate, and sign the form and send it in to them so they know who has the authority to cast votes.
Okay. All right. Any comments or questions by the commission? And I have
And our present voting delegates are
I actually don't know who we did last year. Last year was a little bit weird because the conference ended up being online. I seem to recall Commissioner
I was
Weiss was, I think, the only one who actually attended the online thing. And so it got very confusing. But I think traditionally we've kind of gone with chair and vice chair or something along those lines.
And the third one, I'm assuming, was Jamie, the alternate.
It could be any elected or appointed official. I'm not sure who all is planning to go. I believe the chair is planning to go this year.
I've yet to commit.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I will nominate the chairman and the vice chair as delegate and alternate delegate to represent Saline County at the KAC convention.
And we need a third.
Do we need a third?
I
You,
have, I
you
have the two.
can,
Yeah, second.
It says delegate first, alternate, and second.
second alternate.
You want to just make.
Will the administrator be attending?
The administrator will be attending, but he hopes one of the first two alternates is there.
Hey, let's just make the
I'll-
administrator. the-
Yeah, nominate the administrator for
Congratulations,
the
Neil. I'll second
second
the motion.
alternate. Thank you. Ooh, we struggled with that one.
I'm sweating now. Okay. It has been moved and seconded that we approve Roger Sparks as the voting delegate, Commissioner Weiss as the first alternate, and Administrator Philip Smith Haynes as the second alternative. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Informational items.
Item number 1 is the Road and Bridge update with Darren Fishel, Road and Bridge Administrator.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning, Darren.
This is our bi-monthly July-August update. I have a PowerPoint, but I'd like to talk about our mowing operations just a little bit before I start there. We have had a shortage of part-time help this summer. So the motor grader operators are mowing the right of way as time allows. Right now, our focus is on the Blacktop Road. We do intend to keep mower tractors well into the winter in order to completely mow back the property lines. This will prevent the small trees from becoming a big problem later. This will have no budget effect. The mowing tractors that we lease are by the hour. So due to the shortages that we've had and using the tractors, that money still has been budgeted and will be used. Also, parts are hard to get. We've had several mower tractors break down, and then with the availability of parts, so we're working to get those things done. We repaired or replaced 16 culverts. This is Burma Road north of Armstrong. Next slide, please. There's a field entrance that had been requested. State Street east of Powers Road. Next slide, please. This is just a hole that developed on the shoulder of the road that it had separated. We went in and added an extension and some dirt onto that. Next slide, please. Crawford Road, west of Whitmore. Next slide, please. This is also a property owner request. Next slide, please. And while we were there, we did some ditch cleaning and layback of the field. Next slide, please. This is Farley Road, east of Woodward. Next slide, please. This is North Street, west of Woodward. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is Gerard, north of Pleasant Hill. The property owner called and said this culvert was plugged up, and due to it being plugged up and old, water was backing up in her yard. So when we got there, we looked at the whole thing, and this fence over here, it's obvious that it wasn't being used. So we just simply asked them, you know, instead of replacing it, would it be okay to just remove it? And then that would allow the water an unobstructed path to this box down here. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. And so while we were at the location, which was right there, we went ahead and cleaned the sediment out of this box. Next slide, please. This is Cunningham, north of North Street. There were actually two culverts at this location. This one was an old pipe in disrepair. You see the concrete head wall here. Whenever we see these, we like to remove and replace this pipe, because when someone does depart the roadway, this becomes a very hard hazard for them to hit. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This one was just a little bit north of that other one. That other one was right there, and then this one was right here. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is Niles Road, south of Tinkler Road. There was actually two culverts in this location. This had been closed in the 2019 flood. This is an earth road. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we replaced it with this pipe, and we went in and we removed all the trees. Also at this location, we regraded this whole mile of earth road. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is Niles Road, south of Tinkler. There were also two culverts in this location. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, this is Centennial Road, south of Fallon Road. There's an entrance culvert there. Next slide, please. This was a large crossroad culvert that we replaced, and we also rebuilt that half-mile road also. Next slide, please. This is Kip Road, north of Minner Road, field entrance. Next slide, please. Also, while we were there, we did the ditch work. Next slide, please. This is Waterwell Road, east of Kip Road. There were also two culverts in this location. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This was also the same location. This was an entrance culvert that was in there, and you saw the size of the two culverts that we were putting in the roadway. This was downstream from those two culverts. So the property owner's request, we simply removed that one because of the size of this one, it would have backed water up and obstructed. Next slide, please. So that's where that culvert was, and those other two culverts are down there with the water flowing here down to Gypsum Valley Creek. Next slide, please. This is just we also rebuilt this section of road.
Darren, can I ask a quick question here? That one water well off that, just the Kip there, where we took out the culverts there, is there another entrance in for that field?
There is.
Okay, I'm sure there was, but okay, thank you.
Next slide, please. This is McGavern Road, north of Shipton. Next slide, please. We also cleaned, removed, and repaired 5 box culverts. Next slide, please. This is Niles Road, Niles and Reardon at the intersection. We did have a large 8-inch rain in May up in that part of the country. Completely silted in this box. Next slide, please. We also did some ditch cleaning going south along there for about 1/4 mile, or I'm sorry, east. Next slide, please. This is F Creek south of Watkins. This was a box structure we had built about 3 years ago. The water came and rained hard and washed the bottom of this block out. So we had to go in there and remove that. Next slide, please. We simply took the top off with the excavator, reset the blocks. Next slide, please. And poured a concrete floor in it. And we also set these blocks down in here to keep this, the water comes in at a strange angle to this. It comes in like this. This was the block. You can see where it comes in and then wash that. So we mitigated that with this concrete. Next slide, please. We also put some felt back behind there so the water didn't go through the cracks and cause an erosion issue on the back side of the block. Next slide, please. This is plank repair on Amos Road, south of K4 Highway. Next slide, please. This is Cunningham Road, north of Old 40. This would be just north of New Cambria. As I was driving along here, I noticed some of these plank needed replaced, and this stringer here was broken. So we didn't, until we got the top off, we couldn't rate the full damage that had been done. Next slide, please. So the back wall on that structure was in a really serious state of disrepair. So this was a location where, because of the amount of flood water, we were able to determine just to remove it and just let the water go across the road. This is an earth road location. The water doesn't come fast here, so the water will just simply move across the road. So under those conditions, people aren't going down there and using that road anyway. Next slide, please. This is Tresson Road, just north of Stimmel. This is actually a bridge. This was bridge length. And so this was in conjunction with a bridge that engineering is going to build on Waterwell Road. We had got $160,000 from a KDOT program. They would give you $160,000 to replace a bridge. And if you would remove a bridge from your inventory, they would give you an extra $40,000. So this road right here is closed at that sign. This goes under the interstate. So in order to get the other $40,000, we simply just, next slide, please. We simply broke up this concrete and removed the steel. Next slide, please. And just created a low water crossing. So that little structure there, got us $40,000 for the replacement of a bridge that is very heavily used on Waterwell Road east of Kip. We had 3 large ditch cleaning projects. Next slide, please. This is Farley Road, west of Kip Road. Next slide, please. This was cleaned out for about a half a mile going towards Kip Road. This dirt that came out of here went to the Waterwell Road culvert project to build that road up. We try to do these things in conjunction with one another. The Waterwell Road project was just a mile over here. So this dirt was hauled over there for that project. Next slide, please. This is Simpson Road north of the Smoky Hill River Bridge. This ditch had not been cleaned in many years, been through several floods. Next slide, please. So we went in there and we did have one entrance culvert we had needed to replace. This over here is, there are several fiber communication lines in there. So we had to hire somebody to come in there and vacuum those out. So we knew exactly where they were. So we didn't hit them. Very expensive to hit those utilities. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is Coronado Heights, west of K4 Highway down in, as you're going towards Lynchburg. There used to be a hedgerow, not a hedgerow, but a shelter belt right here we removed years ago. And then that shelter belt over time had blocked the travel of this drainage right here and had silted this in. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. These next few slides, this is a misprint on my part here on number 5. It should say 100 to 150 material retrieval sites from the May flooding. We had 8 inches of rain up in that part of the area, and most of our drainage, because of the narrow right of way, will only handle about a 10-year flood event. So we have to go and clean these things out. Next slide, please. 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 So you see a little bit of our operation here. We have a small excavator on this truck trailer right here, tilt top, and you can just see there was a lot of these, just little spots. Every mile we had to go dig out those and retrieve them. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So this is a graphic from my cartograph software. This shows that we bladed and maintained 1,956 miles of roadway. Every red line there would represent a county road that a motor grader operated on in the last 2 months. We did repair and replace 389 signs and posts due to harvest. You know, those numbers get high. Next slide, please. This graphic shows where we rebuilt and re-rocked a gravel road. Next slide, please. This shows where every full mile that was sanded in the last 2 months. Next slide, please. This graphic represents every mile that had 1, 2, 3, any spot in the county where a load of aggregate was hauled to. It may have been just one spot within that mile or 2 or 3 loads, but that shows where all of our trucks had hauled to. And we did haul 6,415 ton of road rock, 1,047 ton of AB3, and 3,671 ton of sand. I believe that's the end of the slide. The rural operators, you know, we were having some dry conditions. So in those dry conditions, they have been replacing small culverts. We set them to work with that little excavator and truck, and they went around replacing some small culverts, mowing when they could, and using the mini excavator for some small ditch projects. Our current plans are, one is we're going to build roads for the radio tower site. One is almost complete, but that's dependent upon everyone being on the same page and getting the right easements and things like that. That will happen this fall. We're also going to upgrade Tinkler Road from earth to gravel. That will happen before the radio tower sites. We're currently getting that located and planning on sending people out there. And then just catch up on delayed small projects due to the flooding, and our budget's in line with traditional normals. Nothing outstandingly in error there.
Okay, thank you, Darren. Was there any flooding going on that with the rains that we just had this weekend?
No,
you know?
no.
Oh,
Small, maybe some small minor spots, but nothing that we had to go barricade or close down.
okay, great.
One question, Darren. When you lay back a field or clean the ditches, do you reseed those ditches?
We do if it's a considerable length, like the property there you saw on, it was Centennial. We did reseed that. We reseeded the ditches on Simpson. You know, if it's over, I'm gonna say a quarter of a mile or so, we do reseed. We have a little seed.
Okay, well, thank you, Darren. Thank you for the update. Item number 2.
County Administrator's update with Philip Smith Haynes, County Administrator.
Good morning, Phil.
Good morning again. The only item that I had for the commission this morning is the continuing story of our meeting broadcasts. And so Linda reports to me that we are on channel 20 this morning. It was a little spotty, I guess, for the first few minutes, but it's been doing okay since then. I did on Thursday receive a letter from the city of Salina. And this morning, I also received communication from Salina Media Connection. So I am preparing an RFA for next Tuesday to discuss with you all your options going forward. So finally making some progress there.
Okay. Okay, item number 3.
Commissioners' comments.
Okay. No comments, any announcements? Just going with our Mr. Administrator to Clay Center this evening for a retreat for county commissioners in this region. Was there 17? How many? 16 counties in this region? Thank you. I should know that off the top of my head, but thank you. Any other comments or announcements? Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.